With the hype around Dominion proving far too strong, I secured myself a box containing 2 lots of the Orruk half. I'm finally getting into Age of Sigmar, and today I'm taking you through how I'm painting my Orruks. My name's Josh, and welcome to the Pickle Jar. Hey there Pickle people, and welcome back to the Pickle Jar for another painting tutorial. Now apologies in advance if I sound a little bit weird. I've been battling a very heavy cold for a few days now, so I thought I'd save your eyes by just doing voiceover for this entire video and no talking head. I'll do my best to get through this without sneezing into the microphone. So today we're working on one of the new Orruks from the Dominion box. Now these guys are a new Orruk faction in the game, coming from a swampy, boggy region and being a bit more on the sneaky side from their counterparts. Now I wanted to reflect this and give them a bit of a different look for their skin. After I'd finished priming them and giving them a very heavy zenithal with the airbrush, I started applying some of the base colours. Now for these guys I started out with Kislev flesh, applying it all over the skin but leaving the recesses between muscles in either the white or black that was there from the priming step. Now I had to go over with a couple of thin coats for this to make sure that I got a nice, solid, even covering without adding any unwanted texture by applying the paint a little bit too thickly. Once this was on and dry, I took a Plague Bearer Flesh contrast paint and thinned this down with contrast medium. Once I was happy with the consistency, I applied this to all the skin areas. Now I thinned this down as I wanted it to work more like a heavy glaze, tinting the colours below, rather than acting like contrast paint is supposed to work. Now I took care to remove any paint that was pooling too much, and then sat this one to one side to dry. Now it was definitely looking pretty cool, though it was looking more yellow than green right now. It has given me a bit of a cool idea for the hobgrots when I get round to them later on, but for these I definitely wanted the skin to be green overall. Now I took one of the new paints, Orruk Flesh, and watered this down again to a bit of a heavy glaze consistency. I went back over all the skin, applying this in the same way that we had done with the base coat, covering the muscles but leaving the recessed areas in what we'd just done. We're definitely getting there, but I wanted to get the skin quite pale, so I pushed it even further by using a 50-50 mix of Orruk Flesh and Iron Rack skin. Now I wanted my Orruks to be pretty pale, imagining that as they live in caves and swamps, they were unlikely to get much sun. I have no idea if this fits in fully with the Age of Sigmar lore, but that's what I'm going with. Having the various tones of yellow and green adds a little bit of variety and helps to make each model look that little bit different. Maybe one has a little bit more yellow showing and maybe one is super pale. As long as they all fit together in the army, the skin can vary between models and this adds a little bit more visual interest. Now at this point I was happy enough with the skin and I started working on the clothing. Now for this I'm going to keep it simple. I started off with a base coat of Rhinox hide, again having to give a couple of thin coats to cover over that white ink from earlier on. I also used a mix of Rhinox hide and Screaming Pink for a couple of the pieces of cloth, just to add some variety here as well, as they are patchwork scraps of leather and cloth and I wanted to reflect this in the painting. With the base coats on, I took Baneblade Brown and proceeded to edge highlight all the scraps of clothing. I also added some scratchy highlights to the middles of these bits of material as well, just to show that they are not in the best condition and also to break up the flat surface area with some little bits of detail. For the bits of rope or whatever it is that's around their legs, I painted these with Baneblade Brown and then gave them a wash with Agrak's Earthshade. For the shield and other bits of armour, I wanted to give them a really worn look. Now I do like the red versions in the official artwork, but again, as these guys live in swamps where it's wet and stuff, I thought that their armour and stuff would be more likely worse for wear than nice painted red stuff. So I started out with a base coat of Balthazar Gold, coating over all the armoured areas. Once this was all on and dried, I then took Lead Belcher and stippled this over the top just to help dull down that bronze colour, leaving it look a little bit more worn and well used, and a little bit sort of tarnished, I guess. Once this was on, I decided to add in a little bit more colour. Now, as I said earlier, I did like the red look on the official artwork shield, so I started off by stippling on Doombull Brown, and then once that was on I stippled on some Mephiston Red. Now in the end result you can't really see this too much, but again I think what I'll end up doing is adding different amounts of this across the army just to add some variety in the armour's weathering between different models. I added some more silver just to a couple of areas, and then I added a wash to some select recessed areas. With all this on, I decided that it needed that last finishing touch, so I took some riser rust and dotted this onto a few select areas. Now, it does look very, very bright when it's going on, but once it dries, it does dull itself down quite a bit. I did also use some of the Nihilak oxide and dotted this around some of the rivets and edges. Now with things like this, with the rust and with the oxide effects, less is always more. It's very easy to overdo it, so just put a little bit on at a time, take a step back and see what you think. I tidied up a few little details, gave him a quick dunk in the Patchy Plains base ready, and here he is all finished. Now this is the first Orruk that I've finished for my new army, and I had a hell of a lot of fun working on him. I'm looking forward to this cold clearing up so that I can get some more cranked out and then get ready for my first game of Age of Sigmar. What do you guys think to the finished result? Let me know down below in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, be sure to leave a like down below, and if you want to see more from me, then pop along to one of my live streams which I do every Wednesday at 8 PM. If you want to help support the channel, there are a few different ways to do so. We have our channel sponsors and affiliate links down below, or you can do what all of these amazing people did and join our membership program right here on YouTube. However you choose to support us, it's all massively appreciated, so thank you very much. That's all from me, and I'll see you next week with another video.